want to thank you and all the leaders and members of SAC Kids First. I'm going to talk about you in just a moment. I obviously want to thank Council Members Chenier and Vang for vision and for the hard work over these last number of months. I've been privileged to be a part of your circle here. And I know that I reluctantly did not support the last measure, in part because it did not include what this measure includes. Namely, that while we will take all of the appropriate input from the commission and from the community, that ultimately the elected officials, the city council, must make the decisions on the expenditure of public resources. And that is now clearly in this measure. But I just want to use my moment to step back for a moment and talk about SAC Kids First and why it is so important that they are really in the lead on this measure. Because some may look at this, and I'm sure we'll talk about this tonight, as a measure to increase youth programming and youth investments. And of course it is that. But it's about so much more. It's also about power. It really is about power, because there are a lot of powerful people in our city, and I would include us, those of us who get to hold public office. A lot of stakeholders have power. We have a lot of things written into our city charter that provide a leg up for stakeholders, and that's good in many respects because we value what they do. The question tonight and the question before the voters in November is whether or not we are willing to give some real power to young people and real power and voice to their needs. Because without power, this doesn't have to be an argument. All you have to look at is the history. Because without power, young people too often get the short end of the stick. I talked about this in my State of the City address. During the last recession, police and fire were cut 8.5%. And by the way, those were real and painful cuts. And I've supported the police and fire budgets. I look forward to continuing to do so because we value public safety as it's been traditionally defined. But during that same period, parks was cut 40%. Summer camps, youth programming was cut 67%. That's not right, and that's not fair. And this measure would give young people and their agenda and their needs real power. For without that power in the city charter, you are left to good hearts, goodwill, best efforts. But we see what happens especially when times really get difficult. And that can't happen again, especially in light of what we are seeing in our community in real time. And especially with what we've seen around COVID and its impact on young people. I've dedicated my life to the mental health movement. And oh my, finally the issue is having its day. And in a way, I'm happy, and in a way, I'm really sad about it because it's having its day for a very painful reason. More teen suicides, more young people suffering who've lost out on years of their lives interacting with their peers. And we need to attend to that. We can't do it all as a city. But this is a statement that not only that we value young people, but we believe we should grant them real power because that's what makes a difference in our society and in our city and the way we make decisions.